toutes et à tous. Hello, good afternoon to everyone. So welcome to your PhD in France webinar series. So our online conference cycle continues with today the last thematic webinar focused on the field of artificial intelligence and more particularly applied to environment. My name is Christophe Pauli. I work as a scientific attaché and higher education at the French Embassy in Poland, and it is my pleasure to welcome you today. As you probably know now, this event is a joint project between 5 French embassies in Austria, Czech Republic, Hungary, Poland, and Slovakia, and with, of course, the support of their respective Campus France teams. To help me to moderate this webinar, I know that I can count on Véronique Debord-Lazaro, who is attaché for science in Czech Republic.
Bonjour à tous, good afternoon everyone.
Athénaïs Sureau.
Good afternoon.
And Michał Ziemba.
Good afternoon.
From respectively Campus France, Czech Republic and Poland. So this webinar is organized in two main parts. First, you will be able to listen and also ask questions to representatives of the French Ministry of Higher Education, Research and Innovation, but also representatives of French Research Institute and doctoral schools in France. So we will have, in this first part, 3 guest speakers. And in the second part, we propose you to attend an interview of 2 alumni, former PhD students in France. So if you want to know more about research in France in the field of AI applied to environment, if you are, for example, a master's student or if you are just starting a PhD or simply you have a project to spend some time in France for your research project, this event is interesting for you. So let me now introduce the first guest speaker for the day, for this first part, and also I take this opportunity to warmly thank them, thank the speaker for the participation. So I will start with Professor Anne Boyer, who is currently scientific advisor in mathematics, computer science, and also artificial intelligence at the French Ministry of Higher Education, Research and Innovation. She's also a professor in computer science and AI at Lorraine University and the Lauria Laboratory. Lauria is a research unit common to CNRS, the University of Lorraine and INRIA. INRIA is the French Institute for Research in Digital Science and Technology. So Anne is going to present you the research landscape of artificial intelligence in France and its organization. And I remind the audience that 3 main points. So first, there is a Q&A box at the bottom of the screen, so you can use this box to ask questions to Anne. Also, the second point is that all PowerPoint presentation will be sent to the audience after the webinar. And the last point is that the webinar is being recorded and it will be available on the web in a couple of days. So Anne, the floor is yours. Thank you again.
Bonjour à tous. Hello everyone. Thank you very much to the organizer for giving me the opportunity to you today. So if my slide, okay, I hope you can see everything correctly. I will give you some elements from the French strategy in AI. Just a few words to the landscape of what is the national strategy in France. This strategy has been launched by Emmanuel Macron in 2018 with 3 main strategic axes in order to unleash AI potential. These 3 axes are: first, talents, to foster the best expertise in AI. This will be the main interesting today. The second one is about disseminating to spread AI in the economy and administration, from research to innovation and industry. And the third one is about ethics, dialogue between performance and humanity. And I think that the next week's speaker will give you some insight about questions. So I will focus on talents, just to give you an idea of what are the two main that have been launched in this framework. The first one is the creation of 4 institutes in AI, Institute of Excellence. It's called in French 3IA for Institute Interdisciplinary Institute in Artificial Intelligence. These 4 are located in Grenoble, Nice, Sophia Antipolis, Paris and Toulouse. And if you have a look on the main application fields, you will see that Grenoble will focus on S, environment and energy. So environment is one of the 3 thematics that has been selected by this 3AI Institute. For Nice, Sophia Antipolis in the south of France, the main topics are e-health and smart territories. For Paris, it's health, transport, and you find again environment. Then in Toulouse, transport and space mobility. So if you have a look on all these institutes, you will see that environment is very present in the application fields that have been selected. Around these 4 institutes in AI, you have many centers of research in France where you can find also opportunity to do a PhD. And then last year, a call have been launched in order to select programs for PhD in the networks of universities and schools and research centers in France. 22 have been selected with the funding of 274 PhD positions. All these positions will be available this year and next year still. And then you can apply for PhD positions that you can find here on this institute. Of course, you have many other opportunities to do PhD in AI, and more precisely in AI environment, by other funding than the national strategy. If we have a look of what are PhD application fields from these programs, these 22 programs, we can see that health is the main application field, but environment and planet has a very big places in this landscape. And if you add also energy, smart cities and territories, and life sciences, you will have a lot of application PhD positions in the field of AI in environment, meaning that environment is something very important in the French strategy. So if you have now a look on the scientific thematics from AI, also with the same 22 programs, you can see that machine learning optimization in statistics is the main scientific thematic in AI for this program, but you have a lot of other possibilities in vision and image, agents or knowledge and semantic web, robot, and so on. Just to say you that you can have different kinds of funding for your PhD in France, and I hope that you will take this opportunity to come and to make your PhD in my country. And then I will conclude my talk by, I hope, welcome in France. Bienvenue en France pour tous ceux qui le souhaitent parmi vous. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Anne. Sorry, I had a problem with my internet connection, but now I hope that you can hear me. Sorry, so I don't have the possibility to see your presentation. So, but thank you for if you can share it also with me after the webinar. So it's now to listen the second speaker. The second speaker is Professor François Terrier, who is a director of research at CEA. CEA means French Alternative Energies and Atomic Energy Commission. CEA is a public government-funded research organization working in the areas of energy, defense and security, information and health technologies. François is also the vice chairman of the AI program at the CEA, and so he's going to give a scientific presentation on ethics and digital sovereignty. Dear François, the floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. So I try to share. It should be okay. So good afternoon to everyone. So the talk will be more on how to responsibly develop artificial intelligence for science, society, and industry, with several focus. If we look on what happened on AI, it's clear for a lot of you and of us that it's a huge change, and some prospective studies say that AI will reach about 10% of all the European economic activity in 10 years. It represents a large part for a single family of technology, so it's very impacting and very important. But moreover, what is very important is that AI will be present in many places, in many objects, products, systems, and of the current life and of industry. And one trend that is rising is that AI will go from a massive use at this time on internet, in cloud systems, to really embedded systems close to the users, close to the systems. And this triggers a very new challenge for AI. What happens there? So AI is very efficient, very interesting for perceptions, reasoning. But we see everyone have heard about failure, faults, that AI can be attacked, is somewhere fragile, or just sometimes that AI is misused. This means that we have to think about how to build and to use AI. And in addition, some studies show that AI consumes a lot of energy for just building the AI. The carbon footprint of building a very complex AI could be more than 5 US cars considered for all their lifetime cycle. So it's very, very important, and the impact is not anecdotal. We have to take care about this point. So it means that trust on how AI runs and frugality on how to develop AI is very important. And the need are there because the applications are coming, are waiting for solutions. But these solutions are not obvious. And it's not just me that say this, that it has been underlined by several people. Here I put some remarks from Yann Lequin, but it's clear that we have some challenge on how to manage threats for AI. And for frugality, research and studies made at the MIT really was the first that underline and insist on its impact and on the need to develop solutions. The consequence is that, in fact, we can consider that the process and the development technology used at this moment for artificial intelligence are not sufficiently under control. And if we don't find solutions to control how to develop AI, this could lead to some disappointments and to a third winter of AI, because AI don't reach the expectations of the users, of the industry, and this will this will destroy the capability of business around AI. This is particularly true for AI based on data analysis and using deep learning, for example, but this could be also analyzed with the same conclusions for all AI-based technology with some variations on their impact. So what we can see in France related to this challenge, it's really an important challenge and strategy for the French government to tackle these points. We have seen at the European level some recommendations pushing the fact that trust is a key point for AI and performance is not sufficient, but also that we have to develop some regulations to force a way to ensure this trust. We have a national strategy, a plan for artificial intelligence launched in 2018, and this has triggered some very important initiatives like the Free IA Institute mentioned just previously. And we have also a manifesto published by the main French industrial, very large group, saying that they want to find solutions to have trustable and frugal solutions for artificial intelligence. If we look on the challenge caused by these 2 points, and without going too much in technical and scientific detail, I have just mentioned some of them that are related to research program at the CA. We go from very mathematical research on theory for fundamental mathematics, in particular in relations to theory used in fundamental physics and how to make some links, for example, on chaotic phenomenon representations and learning algorithms. And some studies shows that we can find some relations and that it could be a very interesting way to build frugal learning-based artificial intelligence systems. We have also to develop some mathematical framework to better understand what has been built and how runs the current solutions, algorithmic solutions, used of formal methods like for any critical systems to analyze the software and the applications. Also to think about cybersecurity, in particular on privacy aspects for the data and the model built for artificial intelligence. And moreover, this will become very crucial if AI is integrated in every life objects. It means that the data will be accessible to everyone. So they have to be very carefully protected. And it goes also to the electronic levels with the necessity to think about perhaps new computational models at the electronics levels. We can talk about spiking in memory computing and some other things, and even to new electronics technologies dedicated to support these computational levels. All of this research will participate to find solution to these problems of this challenge of trust and frugality. And if we can help to solve them, we will help to develop a responsible, to have a responsible development of artificial intelligence. Thank you.
Many thanks again, Francois, and we hope you can stay with us for the question of the audience. I know that you are in your lab, and because of the lockdown restriction, you may have to leave the webinar before the end. So if you, I hope that you can avoid to get a fine and to stay.
I will do my best.
Okay. Thank you. So I remind to the audience that there is a Q&A box at the bottom of the screen, and you can use it to ask questions to the panelists. So it's time now to go to ask the third speaker, Dr. Léonard Sédou, who is a postdoctoral researcher. So he's currently using machine learning techniques to analyze seismic features. And Léonard will present PhD students in AI applied to the environment at the Institute of Earth Science of the Grenoble-Alpes University. So, Léonard, I hope that you are not going to predict us an imminent earthquake, and so the floor is yours.
Okay, so thank you very much. I hope you see my screen now. So thank you for having me today. I'm really glad to show how we develop artificial intelligence solutions for environment here at the Université Grenoble-Alpes. So first, I just want to introduce a little bit, but you already did it, of course. I'm Léonard Sédou, working as postdoctoral researcher in AI plus geophysics in this Institute of Earth Science, which is in the Université Grenoble-Alpes. And here is my contact. Of course, you can ask questions now, but if you are shy or if you want to ask later, you can use this email. Of course, I will be always glad to answer any question. I'm working here in Grenoble, which is a city based in the Alps, on the east part of France. You can see in the picture that the mountains are really not far away from the city. That's one of the 5 best student cities in France, and people really usually enjoy it for the great variety of mountains activity you can have. But if you don't like mountain, you can find also many cultural events. I mean, in general, this is a very, very pleasant city to live in. So here on the map, you can see Grenoble surrounded by the mountains, and you can see here the campus, which is quite large compared to the size of the city. Actually, you can find more than 50,000 students there, and among them, more than 8,000 international students. This university is one of the top best 100 world universities, and it's in the top 10 best French universities. So it's a very high-level university in terms of excellence of teaching and research. And this is also why I joined there. In the university, you can also think about doing a PhD there. We have more than 3,000 doctoral students, and almost all of them are international students. So the atmosphere on the campus is, I would say, rather international, which is also good. If you don't speak French straight from the beginning, it's not a big problem, at least at the beginning. We have 13 doctoral schools with different specialties, so you can find the domains you're interested in, thanks to that. And the research is divided in more than 100 research units. And you can also think about joining the university with doing an exchange with foreign universities. There is a list of partners universities, and all of this information you can find in this website here, which is both in French or in English, so you can find the information. Do not hesitate to have a look there. So as we were saying, so I'm working mostly in this institute, multidisciplinary Institute of Artificial Intelligence. So as Anboye was saying, there are 4 main goals. One is to support research in AI, but also to support innovation in companies, to offer a large variety of teaching programs, and also to interact with citizens, to inform about what is AI and what are the goals of AI. And today I'm going to speak about the research programs. So again, it's a repetition. We have 2 main domains, 2 main programs. There is how to improve AI on its own, how to do research on pure AI, to think about how to embed AI on autonomous systems like cars and so on, perception and interaction. And we also have applied AI, research in applied AI, like applied to society, health, environment and energy, and also industry. So environment and energy is today's theme. So I'm going to speak about that. Here I'm showing a picture of the people that are conducting research, the main coordinators of the research in environment and energy. We have 3 main domains: how to assess the quality of air and liquids, also how to understand and better predict natural hazards and how to explore georesources. And the last one that is more abstract, how to analyze data from different sensors, for instance, in order to analyze climate changes and weather forecasts and so on. And so I'm involved here in the natural hazard domain. So here I'm showing the picture of the team I'm working with in ISTER. And this question aims at summarizing a lot the research we're conducting, the reason why we're doing this research. Why? So the question is when, where, and how large will be the next disaster. When I speak disaster, it can be volcanic eruption, earthquakes, landslides. We're also trying to understand the reason for that and so on. And so for that, we are using data. Data is our raw material. And we try to see is if from this data, which is complex and which is, we have large amounts of data, we try to see if we can find patterns that are going to help us understanding the physical processes, and also if we can find, for instance, alarm patterns, let's call them like that, that could help us to predict any major future event. So this is the question we're working on. And of course, if you want to know more about that, feel free to contact me, and feel also free to check this website that I put here again to see how you can join for a PhD or for studies, and if you want to know more about the research activities here in Grenoble. So thank you very much. Merci à tous.
Many thanks again, Leonard, for your presentation. Very interesting. And so now we have a couple of minutes for our audience to answer for the question and answer, but there is no question at this time. Maybe we can let the panelists maybe ask a question, have the possibility to ask a question to other panelists. I don't know, or maybe Véronique want to.
I think that maybe we can move forward, and since there's another Q&A session, it will give time to our audience to think about the questions they'd like to ask. So thank you very much, everyone. It is now with great pleasure that we're welcoming in this webinar our two alumni who are both Polish and who both did their PhD in France. Małgorzata Chmiel, who currently works at ETH Zurich, and who completed her PhD at the Université Grenoble-Alpes, and Michał Lipian, who currently works at the University of Łódź in Poland. I hope I'm saying this right. I've been spending the whole day trying to get the Polish pronunciation right.
It's okay, it's perfect.
Thank you. And who experienced research in France during his PhD in cotutelles at Arts Métiers Paris Tech. Michał and Małgorzata will be interviewed by our colleagues from Campus France Czech Republic, Athénée-sur-Eau, and Campus France Poland, Michał Zieba. So dear all, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon to Michał and Małgorzata. Thank you for accepting to participate in our webinar, and you kindly accepted to share your experience. So we will ask you a few questions, and we are very curious about your answers.
Good afternoon. I will ask the first question. So the question is for both of you. I would like you to maybe quickly introduce yourself. We can start with you, Michał.
Okay, so actually, thanks already for the introduction. My name is Michał Lipian. As it was said previously, I have finished my PhD in cotutelles. I was doing my PhD jointly in Łódź University of Technology and at Arts Métiers Paris Tech in Paris, in France. I was doing my PhD in aerodynamics. I'm working with wind turbines mainly, and currently also with propellers for helicopters.
Thank you very much. And Małgorzata, can you introduce yourself? Hello.
Yeah, hi. So my name is Małgorzata Chmiel. And I'm a seismologist. Actually, my main research interest is maybe related to what Leonard was already presenting. So one of my main research interests is studying mass movements such as glacier sliding, landslide, and floods by using ground vibrations generated by this phenomena, and also recently combined with machine learning methods. So as you said, I am originally from Poland. However, since 2012, I have been living abroad, first for 7 years in France, and now for almost 2 years in Switzerland. As we already said, I did my PhD in Grenoble. I finished my PhD in 2017. And after that, for 1.5 years, I was working in a startup based at the University Grenoble Alps. And right now, since almost 2 years, I'm a postdoctoral researcher at ETH Zurich, and also an associated researcher with the University Grenoble Alps.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So can you explain us why did you choose to do your PhD in France, and what were the benefits for you, especially in your specific field, like in the field of geophysics for you, Małgorzata? What were the benefits and what were the reasons to start your PhD in France?
Yeah, so actually I wanted to work on ambient noise seismology or passive seismology, and for this subject, France has world-class experts working on this topic, especially in Grenoble, where some of the methods were developed. Moreover, I also like the idea of doing a PhD related to industrial applications. And I thought, and I still think, that for that France has well developed and established connections between academia and industry. And actually my PhD was funded by a French geophysical company. And moreover, I arrived to France before my PhD, and I really like it here. So I wanted to stay a bit more.
And for you, Michał, in the field of aerodynamics, in the field of engineering?
So actually, I would say that as for Małgorzata, it's a little bit twofold because I was already having firstly master studies done at Arts et Métiers Paris Tech, so I was already profiting from double diploma to do my master in engineering in France, and then it was simply my supervisor who proposed why not prolong this cooperation, why not continue it and do some research together in wind turbines, in aerodynamics in general. And well, for engineering, I would say that the answer why France is, to me at least, is quite obvious, because in France you can really find world-class specialists and world-class research and industry in various types of engineering, whether it's high-speed trains, or as for me, planes and helicopters with Airbus, or sending rockets in space. That's also available if you go to France. So in engineering, I would say that there are really very numerous possibilities and prospects if you want to go to France.
Thank you. Michał, can you also tell us a bit about the work environment in your lab in France?
Well, I actually said that I was, for my PhD, I was a little bit continuing the research that I did previously for my master. And it so happened that my supervisor, he used to be the exchange cooperator with foreign countries. So actually, I had the pleasure to really find out what the international feeling of the laboratory can mean, because there were all the time people coming from various francophonic and non-francophonic countries all over the world. We had people from United States, from Japan, coming for some small research or just some small visits. And it's really, for PhD, when you are at the level of PhD, it's mostly about exchanging the ideas, exchanging the ways that you work. Mixing the ideas and approaches with all those people from all around the world. This is, I think that this was something, the spirit that I have remembered most from the laboratory.
Thank you. Małgorzata, how did you manage to find your supervisor in France? Can you explain to us?
Yeah, so my PhD topic was loosely related to my master internship that I did in the company before my PhD. So similarly to Michał, actually, I got in touch with my supervisor from the University of Grenoble Alps before, because he was already collaborating with the company.
Okay, and what language were you using while working in the lab?
So it was both English and French. In the lab, almost everyone was fluent in English, and most of the presentations and seminars were held in English. However, knowing French helped probably with the integration, with getting to know people, and also with daily life things. Yeah.
Sure.
Michał, was it the same for you, this language experience?
Yeah, I would say that when you are working with some technical aspects, engineering from my part, but any other technical aspect, sooner or later you will find yourself speaking English, because most of the literature, most of the research is finally at the end done in English. So I would say that in the laboratory, even the French people were just encouraging speaking English all the time, because it was a little bit easier, even from the point of view of I don't know, vocabulary or stuff like this. French, as Małgorzata was saying, it is very useful when you, for example, have to go and do your shopping. At least that would be very nice to know at least the basis when you are asked for your credit card. But then at the laboratory, really no problems with speaking English.
Okay, our next question is about the experience, maybe even out of the research experience. Małgorzata, what this experience did bring you, the whole experience of PhD in France?
Yeah, so for sure it brought me new friendships, because I met a lot of great people, French people, but also, again, as Michał was saying, people from all around the world, and we are still in touch, and I'm really happy about it. And also it gave me a chance to travel, so in France, but also abroad, and I was able to attend different international conferences when I could have presented my research, and also get to know other PhD students and other researchers. And I hope that things will get back to normal soon, and maybe the future PhD students, they will have the same chance to attend such conferences in person, because I think it's an amazing experience.
Thank you very much. And now we have a tricky question. Michał, could you think of one sentence that would describe the best your experience in France?
Oh, one sentence may be problematic when you are talking about the entire experience. But since I am dealing with aerodynamics, I think that the cliche of sky is the limit would be the best one. Because really, if you want to learn, and if you want to learn something new on a high-class level, on a world-class level, really there are extreme, unbelievable possibilities and options when you go to France. Because really, as I'm saying, the sky is the limit. It's only in the limits of your wishes to learn something new.
That's a great one, thank you. And Małgorzata, do you have an idea of one sentence?
Yeah, I think I would say that if you are going to try, go all the way. So if you are thinking about doing a PhD in France, just go for it and go all the way. And it might be sometimes maybe tricky, maybe scary, maybe not always easy, but I think it's definitely worth trying. And yeah, so I would recommend it.
Thank you. So, well, now our interview will end. So we wish you the best for the future. But what are your plans, if we can ask both of you?
How can you start?
Okay, if I have to start, you can see over my right shoulder in here, I'm actually calling you from my laboratory of aerodynamics. So we have just recently obtained a scientific grant for research that I will be leading in aerodynamic studies of propellers for small aerial vehicles. And actually, I'm still hoping, because we have a Polonium project, so the Polish-French exchange project going on. It is going on this year as well. We are hoping, we are crossing fingers that it will be possible to go to Paris, because all people involved in here are just hoping, oh, it would be so nice to go back to France. Really, not joking. So this is the plan for the nearest future.
Thank you very much. And Małgorzata, do you have any plans for the future?
Yeah, so actually also coming back to France permanently. So I'm doing my postdoc right now in Switzerland, but in the future I would like to get a permanent position at the university in France.
Okay. Thank you very much, both of you, for your nice answers, your enthusiasm. So we are finished with the question, at least our questions. So now if the public has questions.
Yes, thank you very much, Małgorzata and Michal, for agreeing on sharing your experience, and especially in such a lively, enthusiastic, and inspiring way. This is really, really great to listen to you. So we're done with the presentations, the formal presentations, and so we can now take in some questions. But I see that our audience today is very shy, so maybe I will have a question for all our panelists, if that's okay. So maybe it will trigger some questions from the audience. If you were to give tips or advice for a young master's student who is considering doing his PhD and potentially abroad and potentially in France, what would you tell them? What advice would you give them? How to best prepare for this experience during their master's studies, for instance, in terms of research internship, this type of things? Is one of you, so I'm asking, of course, Anne, Leonard, and Małgorzata and Michal, if one of you want to. Don't be shy.
Yeah, maybe I can start, because I think probably maybe try to do some research, not only on the university, but also on the city itself, and maybe try to contact some people who are already being there, like either from your home university or some people that you might go to know from other people, just to have maybe some base, some knowledge on the city, and maybe to try to get in touch with someone who is already living there. I think that sometimes it helps.
Thank you very much.
So maybe I will try to add something. I would say PhD is mostly about the work, the research that you will be doing on your own. I mean, it really requires much effort from your own side. So I would say try to look for people, for ideas, for subjects that interest you. Try to contact them, try to reach them, because, for example, in Poland, it is quite customary that, we will not write an email to a professor or, I don't know, somebody who is associate professor. He will not answer us. In France, it's completely not like this. If you are interested in a certain aspect, write an email, write a message. I'm not saying call on phone, because probably you won't reach anybody in their offices right now due to the pandemics. But if you write an email, there's really a good chance that you will have the answer, and it will mean both that you are interested in the subject and that you are really open to cooperation.
Okay, thank you very much, Michal. Is any of our French speaker interested in contributing as well? Leonard, thank you.
I just agree with what you just said. I think talking to people is the best solution to to try the adventure. So it starts probably mostly with talking with people. So if you have a contact, or if you know somebody that was there already, and if you want to know more about that, it's a very good start. Then the other information you can get from the website and so on, but definitely talking to people is the best way, I would say.
Thank
just
you
want to say that I totally agree.
There is
yes.
Yeah. Oh,
sorry, if I may
Anne.
say something. Yes, just to say that I totally agree with what has been said just now by all the panelists. I can talk from my experience. I have several PhD students from everywhere around the world, and most of them have been selected by my institution just after contacting me by an email and saying, I am interested in what you are doing. I would like to know if you have a PhD positions, what I can do. And then we start sharing ideas and things like that. And so now I have about at the moment 8 PhD students, and 6 of them are just from outside from France, and the first contact was by email. Just scroll the website of the research centers, just select what you think it's interesting for you, what is in accordance with your professional and research project, and contact the people. You will receive answer.
Thank you very much, Anne, and all our panelists for these great advice. There's also, if you're looking for a research center in France, during our first webinar on the basics of PhD studies in France, we have introduced all the resources that you can find online to scroll through all the research labs, research centers in France. So this we can, of course, you can find during the first webinar, and we can provide it to you after the end of this one. Maybe I could say just a few words about the opportunities that are offered by the embassies in the 5 participating countries to this webinar. They were also presented previously. We all provide support to doctoral mobility to France. The format will vary according to the country, so it's not always exactly the same, from support to short-term stays, but also for multiple stays in the frame of cotutelles projects. Some of the deadlines are coming up by the end of February, and they're running until May. So this is, if you're looking for funding for your mobility project to France, this can be an option as well. And I see that there is a question in the Q&A box.
There's a technical question.
Wait, so I will read it. Dear panelists, thank you for great participation. Talking about AI, what is the best programming language for coding AI algorithms? I'm not sure we will have the answer. I guess it depends on what you are talking about. Does any of our panelists would like to answer that? Or maybe not.
I can try to provide a piece of answer.
Thank you.
There are many different languages, but there are, let's say, fashion languages at the time. And for instance, Python is probably the winner. So if you want to know, we use a lot Python, at least in our environment. But you can do AI with different languages and many different languages. So it's not limited to that. We have MATLAB. You can also use C. I mean, it's yeah, and it depends on the times. So nowadays it's Python. Maybe tomorrow it's another language.
Yeah.
Yes, I would just say exactly the same thing. It's depending on what you are doing and what you are coding for what purpose. But Python is the top now. It's a fashion, but you have also Java, MATLAB. It's depending on what you are doing. And the language is not the problem. You can learn any language when you need it.
Yeah, and just a comment from my side that actually there is probably like developing artificial intelligence, the algorithms, but there is actually quite a lot of algorithms that are already implemented, for example, in Python libraries. So in the end, it's just quite easy to use them, like if you want to use already existing algorithms. So.
Okay, thank you very much to the 3 of you. I wouldn't have been able to answer that question, definitely. I see. Oh, and another technical question that is coming up. Please, could anybody advise me for a good book coding parallel algorithms for AI purposes? Very precise question. Any one of you want to?
No idea, sorry. But I can suggest to have a look on the MOOC on the topic, and perhaps on the educational resources, open educational resources that you can find on the website.
Thank you very much, Anne. And I think that was our last question. So I think our webinar is now coming to an end. We'd like to thank again very warmly our guests for their excellent contribution, and it really gave us all a good idea of the French AI strategy and the opportunities for young students interested in conducting research in France. So Anne Boyer, François Terrier, Léonard Sédou, Małgorzata Chmiel, and Michał Lipian, thank you very much to all of you. So like the previous ones, this session has been recorded, and it will be available shortly on the Campus France pages of the organizing countries. And the addresses will soon appear on your screen. So this webinar is the last one from the Your PhD in France 2021 series. And I'd like to acknowledge and thank all our colleagues from the embassies in Austria, the Czech Republic, Hungary, Poland, and Slovakia, who contributed to this program and made it possible. Johannes, Vincent, Athénaïs, Eric, Sébastien, Christophe, Michal, Marine, and Jan. Thank you very much also to our audience. We hope that this program has been useful to you and also that it has motivated you to move forward with your project. So we wish you all a pleasant evening and we look forward to meeting you soon to discuss your PhD project in France. So good evening.